Hello there, and welcome to a special edition of Geek Speak. My name is Nath, and this week I've been playing through my favourite video game series of all time, Sonic the Hedgehog. The Sonic series is known for its fast-paced gameplay, catchy soundtrack, and excellent platforming. It is also a series that I have followed for the last 30 years and is the cornerstone of my passion for gaming. It is the series I know best and one I have spent innumerable hours blasting through the levels of. So this got me to thinking, what, in my opinion, is the best level in every single main entry Sonic game that I've completed? So I sat down, broke out my DualShock, a notepad and some pens, and decided to write a special list feature dedicated to that very question. The rules of this list are very simple. 1 entry per game. No opening levels are to be included. All zones in a level are to be considered. I must have completed the game, and Sonic or Shadow must be playable in the level. The reason for the no opening levels rule, simply put, is that the opening level of quite a lot of the Sonic games are very well known and are quite possibly the best levels in the game. So I decided that for this list, I wanted to break away from the usual answers that people give when they make videos like this, and to provide an alternate take on the lists already out there. I must also stress that this list is simply my opinion, so if you have a different opinion, I would love to hear it in the comment section down below. I'm also only listing levels from the games that I have actually completed, so I'm sorry Sonic Lost World fans. And this is also so I can be a fair judge of what the best level in these games are. We're going to go through this in chronological order, starting with Sonic the Hedgehog 1's Starlight Zone comes hot on the heels of what is quite possibly the most maligned level in Sonic history, the dreaded Labyrinth Zone. It is a refreshing change of pace as the high-speed loop-de-loop gameplay is back. The gimmicks of Starlight Zone never overstay their welcome. The music is utterly beautiful, and it is a bit more challenging than the offerings of, say, Green Hill and Springyard Zone. It feels like a fitting penultimate level before entering the endgame of the original Mega Drive classic. It does exactly what a good Sonic level should: high-speed antics, challenging platforming, and tough but fair enemy placement. Sonic CD is next, with the fantastic Metallic Madness Zone. Coming at the very end of Sonic CD, this level acts as a more refined version of Sonic 1's Scrap Brain Zone, or indeed Sonic the Hedgehog 2's Metropolis Zone. It has an industrial factory type feel that makes you the player aware that you are entering Dr. Robotnik territory. It is hard to pick a bad part of the soundtrack from Sonic CD, and Metallic Madness has a thoroughly epic piece of music, regardless of whether you're playing the US or indeed the Japanese variant of the game. Perhaps quite unsurprisingly, my pick for the best level in Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is the incredible Chemical Plant Zone. Ignoring the number of fantastic remakes that this level has had over the years, the original was an absolute step up from anything that we had seen before in a Sonic game. The level somehow managed to balance and combine water level elements with the high speed ferocity of other Sonic levels like Flying Battery or Hydro City. The music here is next level and is genuinely my pick for the second best classic Sonic level theme of all time. My pick for the best music theme, of course, being the original version of Ice Cap Zone. This is the first ice level in a Sonic game, and it is utterly breathtaking. You know you're in for a treat when the beginning of the level, Sonic is launched headlong down a mountain on a snowboard. The first level focuses around tricky platforming inside of an ice cave as you try and navigate your way to the frosted tundras of Act 2. This is where the Sonic 3 gimmick of having a different level theme between Act 1 and Act 2 really comes into play, as Act 2 is focused around high-speed gameplay, around loop-de-loops and mountainous climbs. it certainly doesn't hurt the level that its original music theme was composed by none other than the Prince of Pop himself. Upping the heat from the fantastic Sonic & Knuckles comes Lava Reef Zone. Again, taking full advantage of Sonic 3 and Knuckles' two-act formula, Act 1 sees Sonic hot-stepping his way through an active volcano. It's a level focused more around platforming and hazards, but unlike other similar levels such as Marble Zone from Sonic 1, it isn't a slow slog through the fire and stone. Act 2 changes the aesthetic completely from a lava cave to a subterranean crystal labyrinth. With the threat of the Death Egg looming deep in the background of the screen, you really get a sense that the game is ramping up towards its climax throughout this fantastic set of stages. Sonic's first fully 3D outing is not without its teething problems and questionable level design, but when it's good, oh, it's really bloomin' good, as shown in Windy Valley Zone. As with most levels in Sonic Adventure, it's split into a few different sections, each with its own unique feel and challenges. The opening of the stage is your classic platforming while keeping enemies at bay with your homing attack, before Sonic is unceremoniously launched headlong into a tornado. The finale of this zone is its real selling point though, as Sonic hurtles down what can only be described as a metallic suspension bridge mixed with a roller coaster. It's truly high-speed platforming at its very best. Sonic Adventure 2 is for many the definitive 3D Sonic experience, with some of the slickest level design in the entire franchise. I will admit I was torn as to which of the Sonic and Shadow stages to pick as my favourite here, as they are all absolutely excellent and worthy of recognition. The reason I have chosen Green Forest Zone is a combination of its rip-roaring soundtrack, challenging but rewarding layout, and for the context of what it does to the story. Sonic has to race against the clock here before Prison Island blows up with him and his friends still on it. It is a cool level that really helps up the ante of the game's incredible story, and one that I always enjoy revisiting. Similarly to the previous entry, Egg Fleet from Sonic Heroes has both an amazing soundtrack and is an excellent part of the storytelling, as you and your team of 3 heroes blast their way from ship to ship across Eggman's airship armada. There is a significant step up in both enemy presence and platforming challenge here, as the only ground in the level is all enemy territory. Each character gets a real chance to shine here too, as your speed, power and flying types are all pushed hard in this penultimate level in what, in my opinion, is an underrated stage in a rather underrated game. Hot take warning. I think that Shadow the Hedgehog has got some amazing levels. Sure, there are some absolute stinkers here too, and some very questionable storytelling choices, but genuinely, some of the levels here are just great fun. My pick of the lot would have to be the climactic Cosmic Fall, which sees the titular angsty edgelord attempting to navigate a crumbling space colony arc. The music of this level is dramatic and one of the best that the game has to offer. The platforming is the best in the game, as you jump from bits of falling space station while attempting to reach the main computer before the colony falls for good. An excellent level in what would be described as a somewhat underwhelming game. Speaking of underwhelming, Sonic 06 doesn't exactly have a glowing reputation, as it was something of a glitchy mess on release. The level design, however, does have some moments of utter brilliance, such as the dystopian Crisis City. In truth, this level takes a lot of inspiration from City Escape, the opening level of Sonic Adventure 2, as you have some familiar gimmicks here, including a boarding section, some urban platforming, and a fast-paced set piece that ends the level. It also has one of the best music pieces in the game, and is visually spectacular as the blue blur navigates a destroyed futuristic city on fire. No wonder at all then that this was the level from '06 that Generations chose to remake, but more on Sonic Generations a little later on. The Sonic Advance trilogy brings us back to the classic style of 2D Sonic games with an absolute blast. My pick from Sonic Advance 1 would have to be the Angel Island zone. Focusing on an ancient Sky Temple aesthetic, this level is a significant step up in difficulty from what has come before in the game. It does borrow a great deal from Sonic & Knuckles' excellent Sky Sanctuary zone, but does so in such a way that it doesn't tarnish the legacy of the former, but instead does something new, creative and innovative. The music in this level is the best of the game. You get a boss fight with the menacing Metal Knuckles, and to top it all off, it has some of the best level design seen in a 2D Sonic game. There is no level like Music Plant Zone in any other Sonic game, and that is why it goes straight to the top of the fantastic levels found in Sonic Advance 2. In my opinion, Sonic Advance 2 is the best in the trilogy, and the level design is the strongest. It was very, very difficult for me to choose a favourite level from the second entry of a fantastic trilogy, but the unique gimmicks, incredible music in this zone are what have pushed it straight to the top for me. So whether you're grinding down rails, jumping on piano notes, or going down the spout of a tuba, this level has an original design, a fantastic level of innovation, and I am totally here for it. Chaos Angel Zone takes all of the things that I love from the Sky Sanctuary Zone in Sonic & Knuckles, and everything that impresses me from Angel Island in Sonic Advance, merges it all together into an absolutely incredible take on the Sky Temple theme. As the final level of Sonic Advance 3, it is a worthy challenge to be sure. The platforming is difficult and often above a bottomless pit. Each of the three zones has a unique gimmick that pushes every bit of platforming prowess you have cultivated through the trilogy and asks you to take it to the next level. The music is absolutely amazing and ranks very, very high for me amongst the Sonic the Music catalogue, and is a worthy ending for what I believe to be an incredibly underrated trilogy that I am hoping and praying gets a high definition remake one day. In what is my second most predictable choice, right behind Sonic 2's Chemical Plant, is Rooftop Run from the European themed city of Spagonia. Borrowing the aesthetic ideas from Italy, Spain and France, Rooftop Run is a slick and stylish romp through the streets and skyline of a bright and vibrant city to one of the catchiest music pieces in Sonic history. There is a lot to love here, as none of the gimmicks ever overstay their welcome, and instead they blend magnificently into the level design as you run up and then down a clock tower, through narrow alleyways and across building tops, in this incredible, fast-paced slice of real-world styled Sonic stage. Aquarium Park from Sonic Colors is perhaps a surprising choice, given that it is a water level in a Sonic game. Learning from the sins of games past, this tidal theme park is everything that a water level should be. Players are rewarded for their platforming prowess, but going under the surface of the water is not made to feel like a punishment for bad gameplay. It is a vast and wide open level, rather than a claustrophobic, chaotic nightmare that prior water level zones have been in the past. You never lose the feeling of speed or excitement either, and really that is the key ingredient to a Sonic level. Aquarium Park has a beautiful aesthetic and soundtrack, making it my favourite part of Dr. Eggman's Interstellar Amusement Park. So, I may have been a tad sneaky here, as City Escape is technically an opening level in Sonic Adventure 2. It is not, however, in the critically acclaimed celebration of all things Blue Hedgehog that is Sonic Generations. Both classic and modern versions of this reimagined slice of nostalgia are an absolute love letter to fans of the Dreamcast icon as you run around the San Francisco-styled suburbia. All the highlights are back, complete with the massive truck that chases you to the goal ring, the boarding section that opens the level, and what is the most iconic vocal song in Sonic history. Simply put, this is my pick for the greatest thing since Green Hill Zone all the way back in 1991. Or it would have been, until the phenomenal Sonic Mania drop-dashed its way onto consoles back in 2017. Made lovingly using the same physics, graphics and sound signature as the Mega Drive classic games, Sonic Mania brought us some reimagined levels as well as some brand new original zones. My choice of these new imagined zones is the Japanese-inspired Press Garden Zone. In its first act, it sees Sonic and company trying to destroy Robotnik's propaganda factory, racing along conveyor belts and machinery. This then, in true Sonic 3 and Knuckles inspired fashion, changes completely in the second act, where upon exiting the factory, you blaze a trail through a frozen forest of cherry blossoms and tree felling equipment. This zone does a fantastic job of both experimenting with great new gimmicks while never losing sight of the narrative that Eggman is bad news for Sonic and his forest friends. There are not many good things that I can really say about Sonic Forces. It takes a lot of the good ideas from Generations and somehow manages to underachieve in almost every way. The classic version of the Death Egg Zone is my pick here, as it does execute a very well balanced homage to the final level in Sonic 3. The light tunnels, anti-grav and difficulty spike all associated with the original are back and they're intact. The music is not bad at all, and I would go so far as to say that this level could hang with the reimagined zones featured in Generations. Thankfully, it is at least a little bit longer than most of the other zones in the game, and it is the one that stands out for me in an otherwise underwhelming game. Being the second open zone that you visit in the game, the desert-themed Ares Island improves on the opening island of Sonic Frontiers in almost every way. There is plenty of challenging platforming here as you attempt to liberate the Chaos Emeralds, Ancient Gears and Vault Keys from the various cyberspace zones and mini-bosses scattered around the sunny sandbox. You also have some excellent character development between Sonic and Knuckles here, a relationship that the series hasn't really explored all that much since the time of their inception, and that is a refreshing change of pace for sure. And to top it all off, the level ends with a fantastic battle with Super Sonic and one of the Titans. My final pick on this list comes from the most recent entry in the franchise, Shadow Generations, and its incredible take on another Sonic 06 level, namely Kingdom Valley. The stage design across Shadow Generations is the best in the series to date, and while every zone in the game is an absolute banger, Kingdom Valley is on a whole nother level. To put it bluntly, it doesn't just fix the travesty from the most notorious Sonic game ever, but it makes it so good that I honestly would like to see the whole of 06 remade in this engine and level style. Maybe we just ask Sega to replace Elise with, say, Sally Acorn so none of us have to relive that awful, awful kiss. Seriously though, I have spent hours upon hours blasting across the castles, waterways, wind rails and ruins of Kingdom Valley, and I'm still finding new routes and areas. This is Sonic level design at its very, very best, and I hope we see more of it in the future. And there we go guys, those were my picks for the best mainline Sonic levels of all time. Did any of them surprise you? Why not comment yours down below? If you enjoyed this list and want to see more like it, please do drop me a like, a share and a subscribe. Hit the notification bell to be alerted for whenever I drop another video, and as always, thank you so much for watching, stay safe, see you bye.